For centuries, the Great Pyramid of Giza has whispered secrets to those who dare to listen. Visitors have reported an eerie, almost imperceptible hum resonating deep within its ancient chambers, a sound that defies explanation. But what if this was no accident? What if these towering monuments, often dismissed as mere places of worship, were something far more extraordinary? Could ancient temples have been sophisticated machines of power, harnessing energies and technologies we're only beginning to comprehend? Today, we're diving into a world where history, archaeology, and speculative theories collide, challenging everything you thought you knew about the capabilities of ancient civilizations. From the precision-cut stones of Puma Punku to the celestial alignments of Angkor Wat, we'll explore the architectural anomalies that suggest these structures were more than just spiritual sanctuaries. Why does this matter now? Because it forces us to rethink the ingenuity of our ancestors and question whether we've underestimated their understanding of the natural world. By the end of this journey, you'll see these ancient temples in a whole new light, not just as relics of the past, but as potential blueprints of a forgotten technological era. So, are you ready to uncover the mysteries hidden in stone? Let's begin. The precision of ancient temple architecture is nothing short of breathtaking. Take the Temple of Karnak in Egypt, for example. Its grand columns and towering obelisks aren't just feats of artistic expression, they're meticulously aligned with celestial events, like the rising and setting of the sun during solstices. This isn't just a coincidence, it's a pattern we see repeated in temples across the globe, from the pyramids of Giza to the temples of Angkor Wat. The stones used in these structures, some weighing hundreds of tons, were cut and placed with a level of accuracy that rivals modern engineering. How did ancient builders achieve this without the tools and technology we have today? But here's where it gets even more intriguing. These temples weren't just places of worship or ceremonial gatherings. Many of them seem to have been designed with an almost scientific precision, as if their creators understood something profound about the natural world. The way these structures interact with light, sound, and even seismic activity suggests they might have served a purpose far beyond what traditional history tells us. Could it be that these temples were more than just spiritual centers? Could they have been sophisticated machines designed to harness energy or manipulate natural forces in ways we're only beginning to understand? The idea isn't as far-fetched as it might sound. Some researchers point to the acoustics within these temples, how sound reverberates in specific chambers, creating frequencies that seem to resonate with the human body. Others highlight the way certain stones, like the granite used in Egypt, contain piezoelectric properties, meaning they can generate electricity under pressure. When you start to piece these details together, it's hard not to wonder, were these temples built as conduits for energy, perhaps even as devices to tap into the Earth's natural forces? This leads us to a deeper question. What if the ancient builders possessed knowledge that has since been lost or forgotten? Could their understanding of astronomy, geometry, and physics have been far more advanced than we give them credit for? The evidence scattered across these ancient sites seems to hint at a world where science and spirituality were intertwined, where temples were not just places of devotion but perhaps also tools of power. And if that's the case, what else might we discover if we look at these ancient wonders through a different lens? From towering pyramids to intricately carved temples, one thing is undeniable: ancient builders had a profound understanding of geometry. But this wasn't just any geometry, it was sacred geometry, a concept that transcends mere mathematics and delves into the spiritual and energetic realms. Take the Parthenon, for example. Its design isn't just visually stunning, it's a masterpiece of mathematical precision, incorporating the golden ratio and Fibonacci sequences into its very structure. These patterns, often seen in nature like the spiral of a seashell or the arrangement of sunflower seeds, are believed to hold a universal harmony, a kind of blueprint for creation itself. Now, here's where it gets fascinating. Some researchers suggest that these geometric patterns weren't just for aesthetics. They argue that the precise proportions and alignments in temples like the Parthenon may have served a deeper purpose, amplifying energy or creating harmonic resonance. Imagine sound waves bouncing off perfectly angled walls, or vibrations aligning with the natural frequencies of the earth. Could these structures have acted as conduits, channeling unseen forces to enhance rituals or even influence the environment? Theories abound about how ancient builders might have tapped into these universal forces. Were they guided by intuition, divine inspiration, or perhaps even advanced knowledge lost to time? Some believe the golden ratio and other sacred geometric principles were intentionally woven into temple designs to align with cosmic energies, creating spaces that were not just places of worship but machines of power. But here's the question: was this all by design or simply a happy coincidence? After all, the golden ratio appears naturally in so many places. Could it be that ancient architects were just mimicking the patterns they saw in the world around them? Or did they possess a deeper understanding, a way to harness these patterns for something far greater? As we peel back the layers of history, the line between intention and accident becomes increasingly blurred, leaving us to wonder just how much we've yet to uncover about the minds behind these ancient marvels. Imagine stepping into a chamber where every word you whisper seems to hang in the air, reverberating with an otherworldly resonance. This is exactly the experience visitors describe in places like the Hypogeum of Malta, an ancient subterranean temple carved over 5,000 years ago. Here, sound doesn't just travel, it transforms. The walls seem to amplify and shape it, creating echoes that feel almost alive. But this isn't just an architectural quirk. Many believe these acoustics were intentional, designed with a purpose far beyond mere aesthetics. Take, for instance, the oracle chamber within the Hypogeum. When someone speaks in a low tone, the sound bounces off the walls with such precision that it creates a deep, vibrating hum, one that seems to resonate not just in the air but in your very bones. Some researchers suggest this phenomenon could have been used in ancient rituals, where sound was believed to connect the physical and spiritual worlds. The vibrations might have induced altered states of consciousness, helping priests or shamans communicate with the divine. Others propose that these acoustics were used for healing, with specific frequencies thought to restore balance to the body and mind. But the intrigue doesn't stop there. Some theories go even further, suggesting that sound itself was a form of energy manipulation. In certain chambers, the acoustics are so precise that they create standing waves, patterns of sound that appear to hover in place. Could this have been a way for ancient builders to harness and direct energy? Some researchers point to the possibility that these temples were designed as resonating chambers, using sound to amplify or even generate power. It's a tantalizing idea, especially when you consider how little we truly understand about the technology of the ancient world. So, what does all this mean? Were these temples more than just places of worship? Could sound have been the key to unlocking their true purpose? As we explore further, the line between architecture and ancient science becomes increasingly blurred, leaving us to wonder just how much our ancestors knew about the power of sound and what they might have been able to achieve with it. The stones of ancient temples weren't just chosen for their durability or beauty. Many believe they were selected for something far more extraordinary: their ability to interact with energy. Take, for instance, the Great Pyramid of Giza. Its inner chambers are lined with massive blocks of granite, a material rich in quartz. Quartz, as we know today, has piezoelectric properties, meaning it can generate an electric charge when subjected to mechanical stress. Could this have been intentional? Some researchers argue that the ancients weren't just building structures, they were creating energy-conducting systems. But quartz isn't the only mineral that sparks curiosity. Temples across the world, from South America to Southeast Asia, often feature stones embedded with crystals or metals. These materials are thought to amplify vibrations or even store information, much like how modern technology uses silicon in microchips. It's a fascinating parallel. Could ancient civilizations have understood the energetic potential of these materials long before modern science caught up? One theory suggests that crystals were used as conduits for spiritual or cosmic energy. In places like the Temple of the Sun in Peru or the ancient sites of Egypt, crystals are often found in alignment with celestial patterns. This has led some to speculate that these temples weren't just places of worship but sophisticated machines designed to harness and channel energy from the cosmos. Imagine the possibility: a temple not just as a place of ritual but as a device capable of tapping into the Earth's natural frequencies or even the stars themselves. Of course, skeptics argue that the use of crystals was purely symbolic or decorative. But when you consider the precision with which these materials were placed, often in specific geometric patterns or aligned with astronomical events, it's hard to dismiss the idea entirely. Were these materials chosen for their metaphysical properties, their ability to resonate with unseen forces, or was there a deeper, more practical purpose behind their use? The answers may lie hidden in the stones themselves, waiting for us to unlock their secrets. This leads us to wonder, if ancient builders did understand the energetic properties of these materials, how did they apply that knowledge? And what might we learn from their methods today? Now, let's shift our focus to something equally fascinating: ley lines and the idea of earth energies. Have you ever wondered why so many ancient temples, from Stonehenge in England to Angkor Wat in Cambodia, seem to align so perfectly with invisible pathways across the globe? These pathways, often referred to as ley lines, are said to be channels of natural energy that crisscross the Earth, connecting sacred sites in a vast, invisible grid. The concept of ley lines was first popularized in the early 20th century by an amateur archaeologist named Alfred Watkins. He noticed that many ancient landmarks, churches, standing stones, and even burial mounds were aligned in straight lines across the landscape. Watkins believed these alignments weren't accidental, but instead formed part of an ancient network used for navigation or spiritual purposes. Over time, the idea evolved, with some suggesting that these lines carry a kind of earth energy, a force that ancient civilizations may have understood and sought to harness. Take Stonehenge, for example. This iconic monument isn't just a random collection of massive stones. Its alignment with the solstices is well documented, but some researchers argue that it also sits at the intersection of multiple ley lines. Similarly, Angkor Wat in Cambodia, one of the largest religious complexes in the world, is believed to align with these energy pathways. Could it be that these temples were intentionally placed to tap into or even stabilize these earth energies? Theories abound about how ancient builders might have used these sites. Some suggest that temples acted as energy amplifiers, drawing in the Earth's natural forces to enhance spiritual practices or even to power unknown technologies. Others propose that these sites served as stabilizers, balancing the flow of energy across the planet to maintain harmony. While these ideas remain speculative, they raise an intriguing question. Were ancient temples part of a global energy network designed not just for worship but to interact with the very forces of the Earth itself? What's striking is how widespread this alignment phenomenon appears to be. From the pyramids of Egypt to the temples of Peru, these connections span continents and cultures, hinting at a shared understanding of Earth's hidden energies. Whether you see ley lines as spiritual pathways, geological phenomena, or even something more mysterious, the idea that ancient civilizations might have been attuned to these forces adds another layer of wonder to their achievements. So, if these temples were indeed built to harness or stabilize Earth energies, what might that tell us about the knowledge and capabilities of our ancestors? Could they have perceived the world in ways we're only beginning to understand? As we explore further, the possibility of a global energy network becomes harder to dismiss and even harder to ignore. What if the brilliant mind of Nikola Tesla wasn't just ahead of his time, but was, in a way, echoing the past? Tesla, known for his groundbreaking experiments with wireless energy, believed that the Earth itself could be a source of limitless power. He envisioned a world where energy could be transmitted through the air, free for all to use. But here's where it gets fascinating. Some researchers suggest that Tesla's ideas might not have been entirely new. Instead, they could have been rediscoveries of ancient principles that might have been embedded in the very design of ancient temples. Take, for example, the way Tesla harnessed the Earth's natural electromagnetic fields. He theorized that by tapping into these invisible forces, humanity could access energy without the need for wires or traditional power grids. Now consider this. Ancient temples like the Great Pyramid of Giza or the Temple of Delphi were often built on specific geographical points aligned with natural energy currents. Could these structures have been designed to amplify or channel Earth's energy in ways we're only beginning to understand? The idea isn't as far-fetched as it might seem. Many ancient sites are located atop geological fault lines or areas with high electromagnetic activity, suggesting that their builders might have had a deep understanding of the Earth's natural energy systems. But how could ancient civilizations, without the tools or technology we have today, possibly grasp something as complex as electromagnetism? Some theories propose that they might have observed natural phenomena, like lightning striking certain areas repeatedly, and deduced the presence of powerful energy sources. Over time, they could have developed methods to harness or even amplify these forces through the precise placement and construction of their sacred sites. For instance, the materials used in temple construction, such as quartz or granite, are known to have piezoelectric properties, meaning they can generate electrical charges under pressure. Could these materials have been chosen intentionally to interact with Earth's energy fields? The parallels between Tesla's work and ancient temple designs are striking. Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower, designed to transmit wireless energy, bears a curious resemblance to the stepped structures of ziggurats or pyramids. Both seem to reach skyward, as if trying to connect with something beyond our immediate understanding. And just as Tesla believed in the potential of Earth's energy, ancient cultures often spoke of their temples as places where the divine and the earthly realms met, a concept that aligns eerily with modern ideas about energy and resonance. So, was Tesla inspired by ancient wisdom? Or did he, through his own genius, stumble upon truths that the ancients had already discovered? The question lingers, inviting us to reconsider not only the purpose of these ancient structures, but also the possibility that our modern breakthroughs might be rooted in a knowledge far older than we realize. As we continue to explore these connections, one thing becomes clear. The line between ancient and modern science might be far blurrier than we've ever imagined. The Great Pyramid of Giza stands as one of the most enigmatic structures ever built, a marvel that has captivated historians, engineers, and conspiracy theorists alike for centuries. What makes it so extraordinary isn't just its sheer size or age, it's the precision and complexity of its design. For instance, the pyramid is aligned with true north with an accuracy that rivals modern technology, a feat that seems almost impossible for a civilization that lived over 4,000 years ago. But that's just the beginning. Inside, the pyramid houses a labyrinth of chambers and passageways, each with its own mysterious purpose. The king's chamber, for example, is built with massive granite blocks, some weighing up to 70 tons, and features a unique system of air shafts that some believe were designed for more than just ventilation. This brings us to one of the most fascinating theories about the Great Pyramid, that it wasn't just a tomb but a machine of power. Researchers like Christopher Dunn have proposed that the pyramid's design allowed it to harness energy through a combination of water flow and acoustic resonance. According to this theory, water from the Nile would have been channeled into the pyramid's subterranean chambers, creating pressure that, when combined with the pyramid's precise geometry, could generate vibrations. These vibrations, amplified by the granite-lined chambers, might have produced a form of energy, perhaps even electrical in nature. Dunn's work suggests that the ancient Egyptians, or perhaps an even older civilization, possessed advanced engineering knowledge far beyond what we've traditionally credited them with. But how plausible is this idea? If the Great Pyramid was indeed a power plant, why is there no direct evidence of its use? Critics argue that the lack of physical proof makes the theory speculative at best. Yet, proponents point to the pyramid's unique features, its alignment, its chambers, and even the materials used, as clues that hint at a purpose far more sophisticated than a simple burial site. The debate continues to spark curiosity, pushing us to question what we think we know about ancient civilizations. Could the Great Pyramid have been a machine of power, or is this just another layer of mystery surrounding one of the world's most iconic structures? What if the truth lies somewhere between what we've discovered and what we've yet to uncover? The Temple of Dendera, located along the Nile River, is one of Egypt's most enigmatic sites, famous for its intricate carvings and mysterious symbolism. Among its many reliefs, one particular set of images has sparked heated debate. Strange, bulb-like objects with coiled filaments, often referred to as the Dendera light bulbs. To some, these carvings appear to depict advanced lighting technology, suggesting that ancient Egyptians might have harnessed electricity thousands of years before its modern discovery. Could these reliefs be evidence of an ancient power source, or is there another explanation lurking in the shadows? At the heart of the controversy are the so-called light bulb depictions, which show elongated, teardrop-shaped objects with what look like snakes or filaments inside them. Proponents of the ancient electricity theory argue that these could represent large-scale lighting systems, powered by some form of energy we've yet to fully understand. They point to the absence of soot marks in certain temple chambers, which might imply an alternative to traditional oil lamps or torches. Could the temple have been illuminated by something far more sophisticated? But skeptics offer a different perspective. They suggest that the reliefs might symbolize something entirely unrelated to technology, perhaps a spiritual or mythological concept. The bulbs could represent the journey of the sun god Ra through the underworld, with the snake-like filaments symbolizing divine energy or cosmic power. After all, ancient Egyptian art is rich with symbolic imagery, often depicting gods, myths, and rituals in ways that modern eyes might misinterpret. Could we be projecting our own understanding of technology onto a culture that saw the world through a completely different lens? Adding to the intrigue are the temple's architectural features. Some researchers have noted that the structure's design seems to amplify acoustics, hinting at a possible connection between sound, energy, and light. Could the temple have been a site where sound waves were harnessed to generate power, or were these features purely ceremonial? The possibilities are as fascinating as they are uncertain. As we explore these theories, it's important to balance skepticism with open-minded curiosity. While the idea of ancient electricity is undeniably captivating, we must also consider the cultural and symbolic context of the relief. Were the ancient Egyptians truly ahead of their time, or are we seeing a modern interpretation of their spiritual artistry? Either way, the Temple of Dendera invites us to question what we think we know about the past and whether the line between myth and technology is as clear as we assume. So, did the ancient Egyptians have access to electricity? The answer remains shrouded in mystery, but the questions it raises are undeniably electrifying. One of the most fascinating aspects of ancient temples is their intricate relationship with water, a resource that seems to have been far more than just a practical necessity. Take Machu Picchu, for instance. Nestled high in the Andes, this ancient Incan city is crisscrossed with an elaborate network of canals and fountains that appear to do more than just supply water for daily use. Archaeologists have noted how the water flows in precise, intentional patterns, suggesting that it may have played a role in something far more sophisticated. Could these waterways have been part of a larger system designed to harness or channel energy? Then there's the Temple of Poseidon at Cape Saunion in Greece. Perched dramatically on a cliff overlooking the sea, this temple was dedicated to the god of the ocean himself. But beyond its spiritual significance, some researchers propose that its coastal location wasn't merely symbolic. They suggest that the temple's proximity to the sea may have allowed it to tap into the power of water, possibly through hydraulic systems or even the piezoelectric effect, where pressure from flowing water generates electricity. Imagine the possibility, an ancient temple not just as a place of worship but as a kind of power plant, using the natural force of water to create energy. Theories about water's role in ancient power systems don't stop there. Some speculate that the acoustics of water flowing through certain temple structures could have amplified sound vibrations, creating a form of energy or resonance that ancient builders might have harnessed for unknown purposes. It's a tantalizing idea, one that makes us wonder if water was more than just a resource for survival. Could it have been the lifeblood of these ancient machines of power? This connection between water and energy isn't just speculation. It's grounded in the way these temples were designed, the precision of their engineering, the careful alignment of water channels, and the sheer scale of their hydraulic systems all point to a deeper purpose. Whether it was for spiritual rituals, technological innovation, or something entirely beyond our current understanding, water seems to have been at the heart of it all. So next time you see an ancient fountain or a temple by the sea, ask yourself, was this just a place of worship, or could it have been something far more extraordinary? One of the most fascinating aspects of ancient temples is their precise alignment with celestial events. Across the globe, from the pyramids of Egypt to the stone circles of Europe, these sacred structures seem to point toward the heavens in ways that defy coincidence. Take, for example, the Great Pyramid of Giza, which is aligned almost perfectly with the cardinal directions north, south, east, and west. Or consider the Temple of Karnak in Egypt, where the rising sun on the summer solstice would shine directly through its central axis, bathing the inner sanctum in light. These alignments weren't random. They were deliberate, intentional, and deeply tied to the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. But what was the purpose behind such precision? Some researchers suggest that these alignments were more than symbolic gestures to honor the gods. They propose that ancient builders may have been tapping into cosmic energy, using the temples as conduits to channel the power of celestial bodies. Imagine standing in a temple during a solstice or equinox, feeling the energy of the sun or moon amplified by the structure's design. Could these alignments have been a way to harness that energy for spiritual or even practical purposes? Theories abound, from using the temples as massive calendars to predict agricultural cycles to creating spaces where cosmic and earthly energies intertwined. Yet, not all alignments were about energy or prediction. Some temples appear to have been designed as celestial observatories, allowing ancient priests to track the movements of planets and stars with astonishing accuracy. The Mayan temples of Chichen Itza, for instance, are aligned to capture the shadow of a serpent descending the steps during the equinoxes, a stunning visual representation of their connection to the cosmos. Similarly, the ancient site of Stonehenge in England is thought to mark key astronomical events, such as the summer solstice sunrise. These alignments suggest a sophisticated understanding of astronomy, one that allowed ancient cultures to predict eclipses, solstices, and other celestial phenomena with remarkable precision. So, were these alignments purely symbolic, or did they serve a deeper, more practical purpose? It's possible that the answer lies somewhere in between. For ancient peoples, the cosmos was not just a backdrop to life. It was an integral part of their world, influencing everything from agriculture to spirituality. By aligning their temples with the heavens, they may have sought to bridge the gap between the earthly and the divine, creating spaces where the two could coexist. Whether these alignments were meant to harness energy, predict celestial events, or simply honor the gods, one thing is clear. The architects of these ancient temples had a profound understanding of the universe, and they left behind structures that continue to awe and inspire us today. As we ponder the intentions behind these celestial alignments, another question arises. Could these temples have been more than just places of worship? Could they have been machines of power designed to interact with the very forces of the cosmos? The evidence, both physical and symbolic, suggests that the answer might be more complex and more extraordinary than we ever imagined. Fire has long been a symbol of transformation and power, revered by ancient civilizations not just for its practical uses, but for its mystical and spiritual significance. But what if fire played a role far beyond what we traditionally understand? Could it have been harnessed as a form of energy within ancient temples, serving purposes that extended far beyond mere ritual or symbolism? Let's explore this idea further, diving into the fascinating theories that connect fire and even plasma to the enigmatic functions of these ancient structures. Many ancient rituals involved the use of fire, often seen as a bridge between the earthly and the divine. Temples across the world, from the Zoroastrian fire temples of Persia to the sacred hearths of Greece, incorporated fire as a central element. But some researchers propose that fire's role wasn't purely ceremonial. They suggest that ancient builders may have understood fire's potential as a source of energy, possibly even manipulating it in ways that modern science is only beginning to comprehend. Could the flames that lit these sacred spaces have also powered them? One intriguing theory points to the possibility of plasma, a state of matter often described as the fourth state, alongside solid, liquid, and gas. Plasma is highly conductive and can generate light, heat, and even electrical discharges. Some researchers speculate that ancient cultures might have harnessed plasma through specific architectural designs or materials, creating controlled electrical discharges within their temples. Imagine walking into a chamber where the air itself seemed to glow, not from torches but from an unseen energy source. Could this explain the mysterious lights or divine fire described in so many ancient texts? The idea isn't as far-fetched as it might seem. Take, for example, the accounts of the Oracle of Delphi in ancient Greece. The priestess, or Pythia, was said to enter a trance-like state, delivering prophecies while seated above a fissure that emitted vapors. Some modern interpretations suggest these vapors could have been ionized gases, essentially plasma, created by natural geological processes. If true, this would mean the temple wasn't just a spiritual center, but a site where natural energy was channeled and utilized. Another compelling example comes from the ancient Egyptians. The Dendera light, a series of carvings found in the Temple of Hathor, depicts what some interpret as ancient light bulbs or electrical devices. While mainstream archaeology views these as symbolic representations, alternative theories propose they could illustrate a form of plasma-based lighting. If so, this would imply that ancient Egyptians had access to technologies far beyond what we've credited them with. So, could fire and plasma have been part of a sophisticated energy system within ancient temples? The evidence, while speculative, is undeniably thought-provoking. Whether through controlled flames, ionized gases, or even early forms of electricity, it's possible that these structures were more than just places of worship. They could have been machines of power designed to harness the very forces of nature. And if that's the case, it challenges everything we think we know about the capabilities of ancient civilizations. What other secrets might these temples hold? But what if I told you that ancient civilizations may have been experimenting with electricity long before we ever thought possible? Enter the Baghdad Battery, a small, unassuming clay jar that has sparked one of the most fascinating debates in the history of archaeology. Discovered in the 1930s near Baghdad, this artifact consists of a terracotta pot, a copper cylinder, and an iron rod. When filled with an acidic substance like vinegar or lemon juice, it could theoretically generate a small electric charge. Some researchers believe this ancient device might have been used as an early form of battery. But here's the question that keeps historians and archaeologists up at night. What was it really used for? Could the Baghdad Battery have been more than just a curious invention? Some theories suggest it might have played a role in ancient rituals or temple functions. Imagine the awe-inspiring sight of a temple illuminated by small, flickering lights powered by these primitive batteries. Could this have been a way for ancient priests to create an otherworldly atmosphere, enhancing the spiritual experience for worshippers? Or perhaps it was part of a larger, more sophisticated system, a network of energy sources that powered ancient technologies we've yet to fully understand. However, not everyone is convinced. Skeptics argue that the Baghdad Battery might have had a far simpler purpose, like electroplating metals or even storing scrolls. Without definitive evidence, its true function remains shrouded in mystery. This enigmatic artifact forces us to reconsider what we know about the technological capabilities of ancient civilizations. Were they experimenting with electricity, or is this just a case of modern interpretations being projected onto the past? The Baghdad Battery doesn't just challenge our understanding of history, it invites us to think differently about the ingenuity of those who came before us. So, was it a tool, a power source, or something else entirely? The answer, much like the artifact itself, remains tantalizingly out of reach. What if the ancient builders of temples weren't just honoring the gods, but harnessing a force invisible to the naked eye? Across the globe, magnetic anomalies have been detected at some of the most iconic ancient sites, sparking theories that these structures were more than places of worship. They might have been sophisticated machines of power. Take the Temple of the Sun in Peru, for example. Researchers have found that certain areas of the temple exhibit unusual magnetic properties, as if the stone itself was intentionally chosen or shaped to interact with Earth's natural magnetic field. But why would magnetism matter to ancient civilizations? Some researchers speculate that these magnetic anomalies weren't accidental. They could have served practical purposes like aiding in navigation. Imagine standing in a temple, holding a lodestone or magnetic device, and using the subtle pull of the Earth's magnetic field to chart a course across vast, uncharted territories. It's a fascinating idea, especially when you consider how many ancient cultures were skilled navigators, often traveling long distances with remarkable precision. Others suggest that magnetism played a role in healing rituals. Ancient texts from various cultures describe temples as places of rejuvenation where the sick would come to be cured. Could the magnetic properties of these sites have amplified their healing effects? Modern science has explored the potential benefits of magnetic fields on the human body, and while the results are still inconclusive, the idea isn't entirely far-fetched. Then there's the possibility that these temples were designed to manipulate energy. Some theorists propose that ancient builders understood how to channel Earth's magnetic forces, using the temples as conduits to amplify or store energy. This could explain why so many of these sites align with key geomagnetic points or celestial events. Were these alignments intentional, part of a grand design to tap into the planet's natural energy grid? The question remains, were ancient temples intentionally built to interact with Earth's magnetic field, or are these anomalies simply a byproduct of the materials and locations chosen? Either way, the presence of magnetism at these sites adds another layer of mystery to their purpose. Could it be that the ancients were far more advanced in their understanding of the natural world than we've given them credit for? The temples of the ancient world aren't just architectural marvels, they're also central figures in countless myths and legends that have been passed down through generations. Stories from cultures across the globe often describe these sacred sites as places of immense power, where divine energy flowed and miracles seemed to happen. But could these tales be more than just symbolic? Could they hint at a deeper understanding of energy systems or even advanced technology that ancient civilizations might have possessed? Take, for example, the Hindu temple of Angkor Wat in Cambodia. Legends speak of it as a place where the gods themselves descended to interact with humans and where the boundaries between the earthly and the divine were thin. Similarly, the ancient Greeks believed that Delphi, home to the famous oracle, was a sacred site where the god Apollo communicated his wisdom through a mysterious force. These stories often describe temples as gateways or conduits for energy, whether divine, cosmic, or something else entirely. Even in Egypt, the Great Pyramid of Giza is steeped in myth. Some ancient texts suggest it wasn't just a tomb but a machine of sorts, capable of harnessing energy from the stars or the earth itself. The pyramid's precise alignment with celestial bodies and its intricate internal chambers have fueled speculation that it was part of a larger, sophisticated system. Could these myths be echoes of a forgotten science, a way for ancient people to explain technologies or phenomena they couldn't fully comprehend? What's fascinating is how these legends often share common themes, regardless of where they originate. Many describe temples as places where the natural and supernatural worlds intersect, where energy is concentrated or amplified. While modern interpretations might dismiss these stories as mere fantasy, could they instead be symbolic representations of real, tangible systems? Perhaps the myths are metaphors for how ancient people understood, and perhaps even manipulated forces like electricity, sound, or even gravitational energy. This raises an intriguing question. If temples were indeed machines of power, as some theories suggest, could the myths and legends surrounding them be the key to unlocking their true purpose? Stories passed down through generations might hold hidden clues encoded in symbolism and allegory. What if the divine energy described in these tales was actually a form of advanced technology or a natural phenomenon that ancient civilizations had learned to harness? As we explore these connections, it's worth considering how much of what we dismiss as myth might actually be rooted in a deeper, forgotten truth. After all, many ancient cultures were far more advanced than we often give them credit for, and their stories might just be the threads that lead us closer to understanding the mysteries of their temples. So, as we peel back the layers of these ancient tales, we're left to wonder, are myths the bridge between the past and the present, offering us a glimpse into a world where the line between science and the sacred was far blurrier than we ever imagined? Now, let's shift our focus to the individuals who may have been at the heart of these ancient marvels, the priests and temple keepers. These figures weren't just spiritual leaders, they were also the guardians of knowledge entrusted with the secrets of their time. Could they have been the masterminds behind the operation and maintenance of these so-called power systems? priests in ancient societies were often seen as intermediaries between the divine and the earthly, but their roles extended far beyond rituals and ceremonies. They were the keepers of sacred texts, astronomical charts, and architectural blueprints, knowledge that was meticulously preserved and passed down through generations. Some theorists argue that this information wasn't just spiritual but highly technical, involving advanced principles of energy, acoustics, and even engineering. Take, for example, the ancient Egyptians. The priesthood in temples like Karnak or Luxor was deeply involved in the construction and maintenance of these structures. They were known to possess detailed knowledge of celestial alignments, which were critical in designing temples that interacted with sunlight or starlight in specific ways. Could this expertise have gone beyond mere symbolism? Could they have been harnessing natural forces like solar or electromagnetic energy, using the temples as conduits? Similarly, in ancient Mesopotamia, priests were not only spiritual figures but also scholars who studied mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. The ziggurates' massive step temples were not just places of worship but possibly centers of energy manipulation. Some researchers suggest that these structures were designed to channel and amplify natural energies, with the priests acting as the operators of these systems. The question then arises, were these priests the engineers of their time? If so, how did they acquire such sophisticated knowledge? Theories abound, from ancient civilizations receiving wisdom from lost or advanced predecessors to the possibility of extraterrestrial influence. What's clear is that their role was far more complex than we've traditionally understood. But let's not forget the human element. These keepers of knowledge were also part of a lineage, a chain of individuals entrusted with preserving and protecting this wisdom. Could the rituals and ceremonies they performed have been more than symbolic? Could they have been practical instructions for maintaining and activating these power systems? As we explore these ideas, it's hard not to wonder, were the priests of ancient times the true architects of these mysterious machines? And if so, what happened to their knowledge? Did it vanish with the fall of their civilizations, or is it still hidden, waiting to be rediscovered? So, what happened to the ancient power systems that might have once hummed with energy in temples across the world? Why were these potential marvels of engineering and spirituality abandoned or lost to time? The answers lie in a mix of catastrophic events, human conflict, and the inevitable erosion of knowledge. One theory points to natural disasters as a primary culprit. Earthquakes, floods, and volcanic eruptions could have devastated entire civilizations, destroying not only their physical structures but also the intricate systems that powered them. Imagine a massive earthquake shaking the foundations of a temple, rendering its carefully designed mechanisms inoperable. Or consider a sudden volcanic eruption burying an entire city, its secrets preserved under layers of ash for centuries. These disasters wouldn't just disrupt daily life, they could erase entire technological advancements from memory. Then there's the role of invasions and conquests. Throughout history, powerful empires rose and fell, often at the hands of invading forces. When a civilization was conquered, its knowledge and innovations were sometimes deliberately destroyed or suppressed by the victors. Sacred texts, intricate machinery, and oral traditions could have been lost as invaders sought to impose their own beliefs and systems of control. The suppression of knowledge wasn't just about power, it was about erasing the identity of the conquered people, leaving behind only fragments of what once was. But could it also be that these ancient systems simply fell out of use over time? As societies evolved, priorities shifted. What was once considered sacred or essential might have been replaced by newer technologies or forgotten as people adapted to changing circumstances. The maintenance of such complex systems would have required a deep understanding of their design, and without proper transmission of knowledge, they could have deteriorated into obscurity. Yet, even as these systems were lost or abandoned, remnants might still exist today. Hidden in plain sight, buried beneath layers of earth or encoded in ancient texts, could there be clues waiting to be rediscovered? The possibility raises an intriguing question. If these ancient power systems were real, could modern technology help us uncover their secrets? As we ponder their decline, we're left to wonder whether these ancient marvels were truly lost, or if they're simply waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves once more. Modern science has brought us closer than ever to understanding the mysteries of ancient temples, and one of the most fascinating ways this has happened is through experiments and replicas. Think about it. What if we could recreate the conditions of these ancient structures in a lab or a modern setting? Could we finally prove whether these temples were, in fact, machines of power? Over the years, researchers and enthusiasts alike have tried to do just that, testing theories about pyramid energy, acoustic resonance, and other phenomena tied to these ancient sites. Take, for example, the idea of pyramid energy. Some believe that the shape of the pyramids, most famously the Great Pyramid of Giza, could concentrate energy in specific ways. Modern experiments have attempted to recreate this effect, building smaller-scale pyramids and measuring changes in energy fields, temperature, or even the preservation of organic materials placed inside. While some results have been intriguing, the scientific community remains divided. Skeptics argue that the effects could be explained by natural phenomena, while proponents see these experiments as a step toward validating ancient knowledge. Then there's the study of acoustic resonance in ancient temples. Many of these structures, from the Mayan pyramids to the underground chambers of Malta, exhibit extraordinary acoustic properties. Modern researchers have used sound waves and advanced technology to explore how these spaces might have amplified or manipulated sound. Could these temples have functioned as massive instruments, using resonance for healing, communication, or even spiritual experiences? Some experiments suggest that certain frequencies can create powerful effects on the human body and mind, but the question remains, did ancient builders understand and harness this intentionally? What's truly compelling is how these modern experiments challenge our understanding of history. If we can replicate the effects of pyramid energy or acoustic resonance, does that mean ancient civilizations had a deeper grasp of science than we've given them credit for? Or are we simply projecting our modern interpretations onto structures that served entirely different purposes? The debate continues, but one thing is clear. These experiments are pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible, bridging the gap between ancient wisdom and modern technology. So, can modern science unlock the secrets of ancient power? The answer might lie not just in the experiments themselves, but in how we interpret their results. Perhaps the true power of these temples wasn't in the structures alone, but in the way they connected people to something greater, whether that's energy, sound, or the cosmos itself. As we continue to explore these mysteries, we're not just uncovering the past, we're redefining what it means to understand the world around us. Archaeology has been our window into the past, offering glimpses of how ancient civilizations lived, built, and worshipped. When it comes to unraveling the mysteries of ancient temples, this field has played a pivotal role. Through excavations, artifacts, and architectural analysis, archaeologists have uncovered layers of history that hint at the extraordinary ingenuity of our ancestors. But here's the thing, interpreting these findings isn't as straightforward as it might seem. Ancient temples, with their intricate designs and enigmatic features, often blur the line between religious symbolism and functional technology. Were these structures purely places of worship, or did they serve a more practical purpose? Archaeology gives us the tools to ask these questions, but it doesn't always provide clear-cut answers. One of the biggest challenges lies in the gap between ancient and modern perspectives. Imagine trying to understand a smartphone if you lived 2,000 years ago. You might interpret it as a magical object or divine artifact. Similarly, when we examine ancient temples through the lens of modern technology, it's easy to misinterpret their purpose. For example, the precision of the stonework in places like the temples of Angkor Wat or the pyramids of Egypt has led some to speculate about advanced tools or even lost technologies. But without direct evidence, these remain theories, not facts. Archaeology can tell us what was built, how it was built, and sometimes even why, but it often leaves room for interpretation when it comes to the how and why behind the most mysterious aspects of these structures. Another hurdle is the incomplete nature of the archaeological record. Temples were often repurposed, damaged, or even dismantled over centuries, leaving behind fragments of their original forms. Take the Parthenon in Greece, for instance. What we see today is a shadow of its former glory, pieced together over decades of painstaking research. Even with advanced tools like ground-penetrating radar and 3D modeling, there are limits to what we can reconstruct. And while these tools have revolutionized archaeology, they can't fully transport us back in time to witness the rituals, technologies, or daily life that once filled these sacred spaces. So, can archaeology alone solve the mysteries of ancient temples? It's a question worth pondering. While it provides the foundation for our understanding, it often raises as many questions as it answers. The interplay between archaeology, history, and even speculative science is what keeps these mysteries alive and endlessly fascinating. As we dig deeper, both literally and figuratively, we're reminded that the past is a puzzle, one that invites us to keep exploring, questioning, and imagining. Theories about ancient power systems have not only captivated historians and archaeologists, they've also left an indelible mark on modern culture. From blockbuster movies to best-selling novels, the idea that ancient civilizations possessed advanced technologies or mysterious energy sources has become a recurring theme. Think about films like Stargate or Indiana Jones, where ancient temples and artifacts are depicted as gateways to unimaginable power. These stories tap into our collective fascination with the unknown, blending historical intrigue with speculative fiction to create narratives that feel both thrilling and plausible. But it's not just entertainment that's been shaped by these theories. Popular culture often reflects deeper questions about humanity's past and our potential. Take, for example, the way ancient power theories have influenced the science fiction genre. Authors like Erich von Däniken, with his book Chariots of the Gods, have popularized the idea that ancient structures like the pyramids or Stonehenge could have been built with extraterrestrial assistance or powered by lost technologies. These ideas, while controversial, have seeped into mainstream consciousness, shaping how we perceive ancient civilizations. Suddenly, the past isn't just a static record of human achievement, it's a puzzle filled with possibilities. Even video games have embraced this fascination. Titles like Assassin's Creed and Tomb Raider immerse players in worlds where ancient temples are more than just ruins, they're repositories of hidden knowledge and energy. These games invite us to explore the idea that history might hold secrets far beyond what textbooks teach. And while they're obviously fictional, they echo a broader cultural curiosity. What if the ancients knew something we've forgotten? This cultural obsession isn't just about entertainment, it's also about identity. By reimagining ancient civilizations as technologically advanced or spiritually enlightened, we're grappling with our own place in history. Are we the pinnacle of human progress, or did earlier societies achieve heights we're only now beginning to comprehend? These theories challenge us to rethink what we know about the past, and in doing so, they shape how we envision the future. Yet, as compelling as these stories are, they also raise an important question. Are we any closer to uncovering the truth, or are we simply building new layers of speculation on top of old mysteries? The line between fact and fiction often blurs in these discussions, leaving us to wonder whether we're uncovering genuine insights or just projecting our own desires onto the past. Either way, one thing is clear: the allure of ancient power theories isn't going away anytime soon. They continue to inspire, provoke, and remind us that history is far from a closed book. Theories that suggest ancient temples were once power machines or advanced technological devices have sparked both fascination and controversy. But beyond the intrigue, there's an important question we need to ask. What are the ethical implications of interpreting these sacred sites in such a way? When we label ancient structures as machines, are we honoring the ingenuity of our ancestors, or are we inadvertently reducing their cultural and spiritual significance to a single, speculative narrative? At the heart of this debate is the risk of misrepresentation. Many ancient temples were built as places of worship, ritual, and community gathering. They were deeply tied to the spiritual and cultural identities of the people who created them. By framing them solely as power-generating devices, we risk overshadowing their original purpose and diminishing the rich, multifaceted stories they were meant to tell. It's a delicate balance, acknowledging the possibility of advanced ancient knowledge while respecting the traditions and beliefs that shaped these sites. Then there's the issue of exploitation. When theories like these gain traction, they often attract attention from media, tourism, and even commercial ventures. Ancient sites can become sensationalized, with their true history and cultural value overshadowed by speculative claims. This not only distorts our understanding of the past, but can also lead to physical harm, as increased foot traffic and unregulated exploration put these fragile structures at risk. How do we ensure that our curiosity doesn't come at the expense of preserving these irreplaceable pieces of human history? This brings us to a broader ethical question: how should we approach these mysteries responsibly? One way is to ground our interpretations in evidence while remaining open to the unknown. Instead of presenting theories as definitive truths, we can explore them as possibilities, inviting dialogue and critical thinking. Another approach is to prioritize collaboration with historians, archaeologists, and local communities who have a direct connection to these sites. Their insights and perspectives are invaluable in ensuring that the narratives we create are respectful and accurate. Ultimately, the way we interpret ancient temples reflects how we value history itself. Are we seeking to uncover the past for the sake of knowledge and understanding, or are we projecting our modern desires and assumptions onto it? By approaching these mysteries with humility and respect, we can honor the legacy of the civilizations that came before us while continuing to explore the fascinating questions they've left behind. So, what do you think? How can we balance curiosity with responsibility when it comes to unraveling the secrets of the past? What if the key to unlocking the mysteries of ancient temples lies not in one field of study, but in the fusion of many? Imagine combining the precision of physics, the curiosity of archaeology, and the problem-solving skills of engineering to examine these ancient structures. This is where interdisciplinary research comes into play, a groundbreaking approach that merges science, history, and technology to explore questions we've never been able to answer before. By bringing together experts from diverse disciplines, we can piece together a fuller picture of how these temples might have functioned and whether they were more than just places of worship. Take, for example, the Great Pyramid of Giza. For centuries, it was seen primarily as a tomb for the pharaohs. But when physicists and engineers began analyzing its construction, they discovered something fascinating. The precision of its alignment and the complexity of its internal chambers suggest it may have had additional purposes. Some researchers have even proposed that the pyramid could have functioned as a sort of energy-conducting machine, harnessing natural forces in ways we're only beginning to understand. This idea wouldn't have emerged without the collaboration of archaeologists, physicists, and engineers working together. Similarly, ancient temples in India, like the Konark Sun Temple, have long been admired for their intricate carvings and spiritual significance. But when engineers and historians teamed up to study its architecture, they uncovered evidence of advanced astronomical knowledge embedded in its design. The temple's alignment with celestial events and its use of specific materials suggest it may have served as both a place of worship and an astronomical observatory. This kind of discovery only becomes possible when we break down the barriers between disciplines and allow them to inform one another. So, what can we learn by bridging the gap between science and history? For starters, we gain new perspectives that challenge traditional narratives. When archaeologists work with physicists, they can explore theories about how ancient cultures might have harnessed natural energy sources. When engineers collaborate with historians, they can reconstruct lost technologies or test the feasibility of ancient construction methods. Each field brings its own tools and insights, creating a richer, more nuanced understanding of these incredible structures. Interdisciplinary research doesn't just answer old questions, it raises new ones. What if the ancient builders of these temples knew more about the natural world than we've given them credit for? Could their structures have been designed to interact with the environment in ways we're only now beginning to comprehend? By combining the strengths of multiple disciplines, we're not just studying the past, we're redefining what we thought was possible. And that's where the real magic happens, when science and history come together to reveal the extraordinary ingenuity of our ancestors. What if the secrets of ancient power systems are just waiting to be unlocked by the tools of tomorrow? As we stand on the brink of a new era in research, emerging technologies are offering us unprecedented ways to explore the mysteries of the past. From advanced ground-penetrating radar to artificial intelligence, the future of ancient power research is brimming with possibilities. These tools could finally allow us to peer beyond the surface of ancient structures, uncovering hidden mechanisms or energy systems that have eluded us for centuries. But what exactly could these breakthroughs reveal, and how might they change the way we see history? One of the most exciting developments is the use of 3D laser scanning and photogrammetry. These technologies allow researchers to create incredibly detailed digital models of ancient sites, capturing every nook and cranny with precision. Imagine being able to examine the intricate carvings of a temple or the precise alignment of stones in a pyramid without ever setting foot on the site. These models could reveal subtle patterns or anomalies that hint at advanced engineering techniques, perhaps even evidence of power generation or transmission systems we've overlooked. Then there's the role of AI in analyzing vast amounts of data. Ancient sites often contain layers of information, symbols, inscriptions, and architectural features that have yet to be fully deciphered. AI algorithms can sift through this data at lightning speed, identifying connections or patterns that might take a human researcher decades to notice. Could this lead to the discovery of encoded knowledge about ancient energy systems? Some researchers believe so, and the implications would be profound. But it's not just about technology. New methodologies are also reshaping how we approach ancient sites. Interdisciplinary research combining archaeology, physics, and engineering is becoming more common. This collaborative approach allows experts to bring fresh perspectives to old questions. For instance, what if the acoustic properties of certain ancient chambers were intentionally designed to amplify sound waves for energy purposes? Or what if the alignment of structures with celestial events wasn't just symbolic but functional, harnessing natural forces we're only beginning to understand? The future of this field isn't just about uncovering new evidence, it's about rethinking what we already know. If these technologies and methodologies reveal that ancient cultures were far more advanced than we've given them credit for, it could fundamentally alter our understanding of human history. Were these temples and monuments not just places of worship but also machines of power? As we continue to push the boundaries of what's possible, one thing is certain: the answers we find may be as revolutionary as the questions we're asking. So, what does the future hold for the study of ancient power systems? The possibilities are as vast as the mysteries themselves. But before we dive deeper into the mysteries of ancient temples, it's important to pause and address some of the myths and misconceptions that have grown around the idea of these structures as power machines. Over the years, theories have ranged from the plausible to the wildly speculative, some suggesting that temples were ancient energy generators, while others claim they were designed to harness cosmic forces or even communicate with extraterrestrial beings. While these ideas can be fascinating, they often blur the line between fact and fiction, leaving us to wonder, how do we separate what's possible from what's purely imaginative? One of the most common misconceptions is that ancient temples were built with technology far beyond the capabilities of their time. While it's true that many of these structures display remarkable engineering feats, attributing their construction to lost advanced technologies can overshadow the ingenuity and skill of the people who built them. For example, the precision of the stonework in places like the Temple of Karnak or the Pyramids of Giza is often cited as evidence of impossible knowledge. But what's often overlooked is the meticulous planning, trial and error, and sheer human effort that went into these projects over generations. These weren't shortcuts, they were the results of dedication and innovation. Another persistent myth is that ancient temples were connected to some form of global energy grid, designed to channel power across vast distances. While it's true that many temples align with celestial bodies or geographical features, these alignments likely served religious, symbolic, or calendrical purposes rather than functioning as part of a technological network. For instance, the alignment of the Great Pyramid with the stars of Orion's belt is often interpreted as evidence of an advanced energy system. However, archaeologists and historians point out that such alignments were more likely tied to the spiritual beliefs of the time, symbolizing connections between the earthly and the divine rather than serving as components of a power grid. It's also worth noting that while some theories about ancient temples as power machines are compelling, they often lack concrete evidence. Take, for example, the idea that the temples of Malta were used to produce acoustic energy or manipulate sound waves. While certain structures do exhibit unusual acoustic properties, these effects could just as easily be the result of architectural experimentation or even coincidence rather than deliberate design. Without definitive proof, it's crucial to approach such claims with a healthy dose of skepticism. That said, it's not all about debunking. The mystery of ancient temples lies in the fact that we still don't have all the answers. There's a fine line between dismissing theories outright and remaining open to the possibility that ancient civilizations may have understood aspects of the natural world in ways we're only beginning to grasp. What's important is to balance curiosity with critical thinking, acknowledging the limits of our current knowledge while leaving room for new discoveries. After all, history has a way of surprising us, so how do we separate fact from fiction? It starts by looking at the evidence we have, archaeological findings, historical records, and scientific analysis, while also recognizing the gaps in our understanding. By doing so, we can appreciate the true genius of ancient builders without losing sight of the human story behind these incredible structures. And who knows? Perhaps one day, new discoveries will shed light on the secrets we've yet to uncover. Until then, the mystery remains part of what makes these temples so endlessly fascinating. One of the most fascinating aspects of ancient power theories is how they force us to rethink the story we've been told about human history. For centuries, we've been taught that technological progress is a linear journey starting from primitive tools and slowly advancing to the sophisticated machines of today. But what if that narrative is incomplete? What if ancient civilizations possessed knowledge and capabilities that we're only beginning to uncover? These theories don't just challenge our assumptions, they invite us to see the past in a completely new light. Take, for instance, the precision engineering of the Great Pyramid of Giza or the acoustic properties of ancient temples like the Hypogeum of Hal Saflieni. These structures weren't just built to impress, they seem to have been designed with a deep understanding of physics, mathematics, and even energy principles that we're still trying to decipher. If these sites were indeed more than just places of worship, if they functioned as machines or energy hubs, what does that say about the people who built them? Were they further along in their technological journey than we've given them credit for? This idea doesn't just rewrite history, it also raises questions about how we define progress. We often assume that newer is better, that our modern world represents the pinnacle of human achievement. But what if ancient societies had tapped into forms of energy or knowledge that we've since forgotten? What if their primitive tools were actually part of a sophisticated system we're only now beginning to understand? These theories suggest that progress might not be a straight line but a spiral, with ancient wisdom circling back to inform our future. And then there's the bigger question: what can these mysteries teach us about ourselves? If ancient civilizations achieved such feats without the technology we rely on today, what does that say about human potential? Could it be that we've underestimated the ingenuity of our ancestors and, by extension, the possibilities within ourselves? These theories don't just illuminate the past, they challenge us to think differently about our own capabilities and the future we're building. As we explore these ideas, it's worth remembering that history is rarely as simple as it seems. The more we uncover, the more we realize how much there is to learn. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson of all, that curiosity and open-mindedness are the keys to unlocking the secrets of our shared past and shaping the world we'll leave behind. As we bring this journey to a close, it's impossible not to marvel at the sheer ingenuity and mystery surrounding ancient temples. From the towering pyramids of Giza to the intricate carvings of Angkor Wat, these structures stand as testaments to the brilliance of civilizations long gone. But are they merely monuments to the divine, or could they have served as sophisticated machines of power, harnessing energies we're only beginning to comprehend? Theories abound, from acoustic resonance and astronomical alignments to advanced engineering techniques that defy conventional explanations. While the truth remains elusive, one thing is certain: these ancient marvels continue to captivate and challenge us, inviting endless exploration and debate. What if these temples were more than just places of worship? What if they were designed to connect humanity with forces beyond our understanding, blending science, spirituality, and art in ways we're still unraveling? The questions they raise are as profound as the structures themselves, reminding us that history is not a closed book but an ongoing conversation. So, what do you think? Were ancient temples simply sacred spaces, or do they hold secrets we've yet to fully grasp? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you're as fascinated by these mysteries as I am, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the enigmatic corners of history. Remember, the past is never truly behind us. It's a doorway waiting to be opened. Let's keep exploring together.